It was supposed to be just a regular hiking trip, nothing more than a weekend getaway into the Appalachian Mountains. The kind of adventure people take for a break to clear their minds and breathe fresh air. They'd been planning it for weeks. 3 friends, all excited for what they thought would be an easy trek through one of America's most famous and beautiful mountain ranges. But what they found and what they didn't make it out alive to tell has left the entire world questioning what really happened. The serenity of the woods, the peaceful sound of leaves rustling in the wind, none of it could have prepared them for what awaited them deep in the forest. A place where the trees seem to watch, where the ground feels as though it's hiding something. The air itself felt heavy with an uneasy stillness, as if the mountains were holding their breath. But behind the trees and shadows, something was waiting. Something they couldn't see but could feel. Something that reached out with cold fingers, pulling them deeper into the unknown. They thought it was just nature. They were wrong. Stick around because the truth behind these deaths is more disturbing than you can imagine. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling stories like this. The Appalachian Mountains rise like ancient giants, their peaks stretching into the sky, veiled in mist and mystery. This range, spanning hundreds of miles, is known for its incredible beauty, lush forests, crystal clear streams, and the kind of quiet that makes you forget about the rest of the world. It's the kind of place that feels untouched, like something out of a dream. The trees are so thick that the sun barely breaks through the canopy, casting the forest floor in a soft, green glow. The air is fresh, almost sweet, with the scent of pine and earth. The breeze gently rustles the leaves, creating a soothing, rhythmic sound, like nature itself is singing a lullaby. For the 3 hikers, this is exactly what they were hoping for. A break from the noise of the city, a chance to reconnect with nature, to leave behind the chaos of everyday life. Their laughter rings through the air as they step onto the trail, backpacks heavy with gear, their faces bright with excitement. The sun is high, the sky clear, and everything about this moment feels perfect. They're young, eager, and full of anticipation. The trail they've chosen is well known, a popular route among hikers looking to explore the mountains. It's famed for its scenic views, its towering trees, and the peaceful solitude it offers. To them, it's nothing more than a hiking trip, a weekend escape to recharge. They've read the guidebooks, seen the photos, and heard the stories of people who've walked this path and returned with nothing but fond memories. But the locals know something the hikers don't. Beneath the beauty of the forest, there's an undercurrent of unease that runs through these mountains. The kind of unease you don't speak about, only whisper behind closed doors. There's talk of disappearances, strange noises in the night, and hikers who ventured too far and never come back. Some say the trail is cursed, haunted by something ancient that refuses to let go of the land. The locals don't often share these stories with outsiders, but if you listen carefully, you'll hear it in their voices, a quiet warning, like the faintest echo of something dark lurking just out of sight. But the hikers, they laugh. They dismiss it all as superstition, a way to scare people away from the mountains. They've heard these stories before. Every wilderness has its legends. Besides, what could go wrong in a place so beautiful, so familiar? They pause for a moment, taking in the grandeur of the forest around them. The towering trees, their trunks thick and ancient, seem to stretch endlessly into the sky. The air is crisp, the sun warm on their faces. The trail before them is wide and clear, leading deeper into the heart of the mountains. It's the perfect hike, the kind they've dreamed of. A chance to escape, to clear their heads, to experience the wilderness in its purest form. Yet, as they continue, something shifts. It's subtle at first, almost imperceptible, like a tiny crack in the tranquility. The breeze that had been so gentle now carries a strange chill, as though it's seeping into their bones. The birds, which had been chirping so happily moments ago, fall silent. There's no more rustling of leaves, no more sounds of nature that usually fill the air. It's as if the forest itself has grown still, holding its breath. They stop for a moment, glancing at each other. There's an odd heaviness in the air, a feeling that the weight of the world is pressing down on them. They shrug it off, brushing it aside with nervous laughter. "It's just the mountains," one of them says, trying to convince themselves as much as the others. "It's just how it is out here." But there's a flicker of doubt in their eyes, a hesitation that wasn't there before. They start walking again, but the feeling lingers, like an invisible presence following them through the trees. The trail ahead twists and turns, leading them deeper into the heart of the forest. With every step, the trees grow thicker, the shadows longer. The sunlight that had been pouring through the leaves now seems dimmer, the forest floor darker. The air feels colder too, as if the temperature has dropped just a few degrees without warning. It's not enough to make them stop, but it's enough to make them feel uneasy. Something is changing. They press on, their voices a little quieter now, their footsteps a little more cautious. They don't speak about it, but the tension is there. The feeling that the forest is watching them. They joke about it, about how they're being too cautious, but the jokes fall flat. It's like the atmosphere has shifted, and they can't shake the sense that they're no longer in control. As they push forward, the forest seems to grow darker, more oppressive. The trees crowd in on them, their branches reaching out like skeletal arms, casting long shadows over the trail. The path, which had been so easy to follow, now seems less defined, as though the forest is trying to swallow it whole. The sounds of the wilderness, once comforting, now feel distant, muffled. The breeze that had carried the scent of pine now feels colder, almost damp. It's like the forest is exhaling a deep, slow breath, and with each step, the hikers are drawn further into it. And yet, they still don't stop. They push forward, determined to finish what they started. But the question lingers, hanging in the air. What could go wrong in a place so beautiful, so familiar? The once tranquil atmosphere of the forest begins to shift, changing so subtly at first that the hikers don't notice it. At first, it's just a faint shift in the breeze, a change in the air that carries a hint of something different, something strange. But as they walk further into the mountains, the idyllic sounds of the forest, birds chirping, the gentle rustling of leaves, seem to fade, swallowed by an unnatural silence. It's as if the forest has grown still, holding its breath, waiting. The light, once bright and welcoming, begins to change too. The sun that had been high in the sky now starts to dip lower, casting long shadows that stretch across the path. The trees, tall and ancient, loom overhead like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out in twisted shapes. The shadows grow longer, darker, as if the very forest itself is closing in around them. The temperature drops just enough for them to feel a chill creeping along their skin, an eerie contrast to the warmth they had felt earlier. But they shake it off, thinking nothing of it. After all, it's just the mountains. The trail should be getting darker as the day fades into evening. But soon, a creeping unease settles into their bones. At first, it's the small things, the way the shadows seem to stretch just a little too far, the way the air grows heavier with each step. Then it's the strange quiet that begins to suffocate the forest, as if the usual hum of life has been muted. The usual rustle of leaves, the calls of distant birds, the breeze gently swaying the trees, everything seems to stop. It's as though nature itself has fallen silent, leaving them alone in a vast, empty world. The first to speak is one of the hikers, a young man who's always been the brave one of the group. He tries to shake off the creeping sense of unease, but his voice wavers slightly. It's just the forest. It's bigger than we thought. But as soon as the words leave his mouth, the others feel it too, the way the silence feels too thick, too heavy. The way the trees seem to grow closer together, their gnarled branches intertwining like fingers, blocking out more and more of the fading daylight. The breeze, which had once been comforting, now feels cold, carrying a faint smell of damp earth and decay. They stop to rest for a moment, sitting on a fallen log as they catch their breath. The only sound now is the crunch of dry leaves beneath their boots as they shift their weight, the occasional snap of a twig in the distance. The rest of the forest seems to be holding its breath with them. But it's the silence, the way it presses in around them, that begins to feel unsettling. It's an absence of sound, a void that makes their hearts race. They glance at one another, but none of them speaks. There's no need to. They all feel it, the strange, suffocating quiet that settled over the forest. And then, just as they're about to push forward, they see it, an abandoned campsite hidden just off the trail, barely noticeable unless you're looking for it. It's small, tucked away in a clearing, and it's clear that no one's been here in years. A campfire ring sits in the center, blackened and cold, but something strange catches their eye. The remnants of a campfire still smolder faintly, as if someone had just left, the embers glowing softly in the darkening woods. They approach cautiously, the hairs on the back of their necks prickling with unease. As they step closer, they see that the dirt around the fire ring is disturbed, as though someone, or something, had been there recently. There are strange symbols carved into the dirt, crude markings that look almost like runes or an unfamiliar language. The lines are deep, jagged, and unnatural, as if scratched hurriedly into the earth. There's no mistaking it. Someone left these markings intentionally. "What the hell is this?" one of them asks, his voice barely above a whisper. The others exchange uneasy glances, but no one has an answer. They stand there for a long moment, studying the symbols, trying to make sense of them. It's unsettling, but none of them say anything. They don't want to believe it's anything more than an odd coincidence, just another weird thing in the woods. But the feeling deep in their stomachs tells them otherwise. They move on, their nerves stretched thin, the feeling of being watched creeping in like a cold fog. But that's when it happens. One of the hikers, a woman, stops dead in her tracks, her eyes widening. She points ahead, her finger trembling slightly. "Did you see that?" she whispers, her voice tight with fear. The others turn, scanning the trees, but there's nothing, just the forest, still and quiet. At first, they think it's a trick of the light, or perhaps just their nerves playing games with them. But then she says it again, more urgently this time. "I saw something move. Over there." They look again, this time more carefully. In the distance, through the trees, just at the edge of their sight, something moves. A shadow just beyond their reach, shifting too quickly to be a person, too solid to be a trick of the wind. It's there for only a split second, but long enough to send a chill running down their spines. One of them swears they saw it too, but by the time they look back, it's gone. They try to laugh it off. "Probably just a deer," one of them says, forcing a chuckle. But the uneasy feeling doesn't go away. The woman who first saw the figure stands frozen, staring into the woods, her breath coming faster. "It wasn't a deer. I know what I saw." The group falls silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. There's no more laughter, no more talking. No one can explain what they've seen or felt. They turn back to the trail, but the atmosphere has shifted. It feels as if the forest is watching them, following their every move. And that's when the whispers start. Barely audible, just enough to make the hairs on the back of their necks stand up. Faint whispers carried on the breeze, as if the trees themselves are speaking in a language they don't understand. But when they stop, when they listen, there's nothing. Just the wind in the trees. But the feeling lingers. And with every step they take deeper into the forest, it only grows stronger. They continue walking, but their eyes dart back and forth, the unease settling deeper with each passing minute. None of them speak of it, but they all feel it. The weight of unseen eyes, the sensation of being watched. The feeling is undeniable now. Something is waiting, something out there in the shadows, just out of sight. And they're not alone. The farther the hikers move into the forest, the darker the atmosphere becomes. What once seemed like an adventure now feels like an ordeal, though none of them can explain why. The light, once bright and clear, is now dimming. The trees, which had once seemed majestic, now feel suffocating, their thick trunks and branches stretching up into the sky like dark, looming giants. The trail they follow becomes narrower, the underbrush more tangled, and the forest seems to close in around them, as if it's slowly pushing them deeper into its heart. They don't speak much now, the weight of the silence pressing down on them like a heavy blanket. The sounds they once took for granted, the rustle of leaves, the calls of birds, are now absent, replaced by an unsettling quiet. The only sound they can hear now is the crunch of their boots on the forest floor, and even that feels unnaturally loud in the thick, heavy air. The feeling of being watched only grows stronger, like eyes are following them from the shadows. Then out of nowhere they hear it. A rustling sound coming from deep within the woods. But it's not the sound of a breeze or an animal or anything they've heard before. It's too fast, too deliberate. The sound of movement, but with no clear source. It seems to circle around them, drawing closer, only to fade away, leaving the hikers on edge, their senses heightened. They stop, trying to listen, but there's nothing, just the pounding of their own hearts, the shallow breath of fear. One of them, a young woman at the back of the group, begins to feel something she can't explain. At first, it's just a dizzy spell. Nothing unusual, she thinks. But then the world around her starts to shift. Her vision blurs, and she feels a wave of nausea hit her like a punch to the gut. The trees begin to twist, their bark morphing into faces, contorted and watching her. The faces don't speak, but she hears whispers, faint and distant, carried on the wind, words she can't understand. Her head spins and she stumbles, grabbing onto a nearby tree to steady herself. "I'm fine," she mutters, trying to shake it off. But the others see her face, pale, wide-eyed, as if something deep inside her is terrified. The group stops, huddling together. They try to laugh it off, saying it's probably just exhaustion. But the unease among them grows, and they all start to wonder the same thing. Is it the trail? Or something else creeping into their minds? The silence that follows feels too thick, too heavy. Then they hear it again, the rustling sound. But this time it's closer. Much closer. It's too deliberate to be an animal, too fast to be the wind. It's like someone, or something, is moving just beyond their line of sight and it's following them. Then, in the distance, they hear something else. Faint at first, almost indistinguishable, but it's there. Soft music like a lullaby playing on the wind. The sound is hollow, ghostly, like it doesn't belong in this place. It drifts through the trees, teasing them, and then fades away as quickly as it came. For a brief moment, they look at each other in disbelief. Could it be coming from somewhere up ahead? Or was it just another trick of the mind? But the oddities don't stop there. As the hikers push forward, they notice something else. The trees ahead seem to shimmer, as though the light is shifting in unnatural patterns. Their eyes widen as they see small lights flickering in the distance, moving slowly through the trees like fireflies, but the air is too cold for that. The lights don't follow any natural pattern, instead darting in strange directions, like they're being guided by something invisible. The temperature suddenly drops. A cold wind sweeps through the trees, and their breath becomes visible in the air. The chill cuts through their clothing, sending a shiver down their spines. It's not just the temperature that's dropping. There's a sense of something else, a shift in the air, an oppressive weight that makes their skin crawl. One of the hikers speaks up, his voice shaking. "We should turn back." But none of them move. Something is pulling them forward, deeper into the woods, as if the forest itself is guiding them toward something they can't see but feel. As the trail grows narrower, the path becomes less defined, and the trees seem to grow even taller. Their surroundings feel unfamiliar, as though they've crossed some unseen boundary into a part of the mountain that shouldn't be explored. The trail before them is now barely a path at all, the ground uneven and overgrown with twisted roots and fallen branches. It's clear that no one has walked this way in a long time. They're off the map now, both figuratively and literally. The path they're on isn't one they've seen before, not one marked in any guidebooks or shown on any maps. The eerie lights flicker ahead, just out of reach, and the whispers, those same whispers from earlier, seem to return, this time louder, more insistent, as though they're calling them forward. But they don't know what's ahead. They don't know the dangers they're walking straight into. The forest grows denser and the air thicker, pressing down on them as they walk. The whispers grow louder. And with each step, they inch closer to a place that has been kept hidden, a place that the forest itself wants to keep secret. They don't know it yet, but they are heading straight into a part of the mountains that's known for its strange disappearances, a place where no one dares to go, where the missing hikers have never been found. What they don't realize is that they've just crossed into a haunted area, one of the most restricted parts of the mountain, where the line between the living and the dead seems to blur. But they can't turn back now. Not yet. And whatever waits for them ahead may already have its eyes on them. As the hikers push deeper into the mountain's darkened heart, the weight of the silence presses down harder, thicker, more suffocating with each step. The vibrant energy they once had, the excitement of the trail, now seems distant, replaced by a heavy, unease-filled atmosphere that clings to their skin like sweat. The forest feels different now, like it's not just a natural landscape but an entity alive and watching. The further they go, the more the trees close in around them, their branches interlacing above their heads, blocking out the fading sunlight. The shadows grow darker, stretching longer and longer, as if the very fabric of the forest is swallowing them whole. The air grows cold, but not the kind of cold you'd expect at twilight. It's a damp chill, one that sinks deep into their bones. And with it comes that peculiar, unsettling silence. No birds singing, no rustling leaves, not even the usual hum of insects. It's like the entire forest has gone mute, holding its breath as the hikers move deeper into its depths. They don't speak much anymore. Every word seems to break the stillness, and none of them wants to shatter it, even though every fiber of their being is telling them something is wrong. They walk, but their pace has slowed. It's as if their feet are being weighed down, or maybe it's just the growing tension, the fear creeping into their minds. Something is off, and none of them can ignore it. Their hearts pound, but they push on. And then it happens. They stop, each one of them feeling the pull of something they can't explain. One of the hikers, a woman, turns her head slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of something in the distance. At first, it's barely noticeable, just a flicker in the corner of her eye. But when she looks again, it's still there. A shadow, tall and distorted, standing just beyond the edge of their vision. It's almost human, but not quite. The shape doesn't move, it doesn't approach. It just stands there, watching, waiting, as if it's aware of them but unwilling to get any closer. Her breath catches in her throat, and for a moment, her legs freeze beneath her. She tries to say something, but the words won't come out. She feels the eyes of the others on her, but when she points to where the shadow had been, it's gone. Not a trace of it remains. She swears she saw it, but now there's nothing. Just the forest stretching out in all directions, the trees looming larger and larger. "What is it?" one of the other hikers asks, his voice uneasy. They all exchange glances, the unease growing between them like a shared secret, a whisper of terror they don't want to acknowledge. "It's nothing," she says, forcing a smile, though it doesn't reach her eyes. "Probably just a trick of the light. We've been walking too long." They laugh, but it doesn't sound like laughter. It's strained, forced, as if they're trying to convince themselves that everything's fine. But deep down, each of them feels it, the air growing heavier, the weight of something invisible pressing on their chests. But the forest has other plans. As they begin walking again, something else happens, something they can't explain. The wind picks up, but it's no longer a gentle breeze. It's cold, sharp, like it carries something with it, something unnatural. And as the wind blows through the trees, they hear it, a soft rustling in the distance. It's not the sound of animals, not the usual sounds of the forest. It's too deliberate, too fast to be anything natural. It's the sound of movement, but there's no one there. No animals, no other hikers, just an empty, waiting silence. The sound grows closer, following them until it's right behind them. They spin around, but there's nothing there. Nothing but trees, shadows, and the growing sense of dread that clings to them, impossible to shake off. Then the dizziness begins. One of the hikers, a young man, starts to stumble, his vision blurring, his legs growing weak beneath him. He reaches for a tree to steady himself, but it's like the ground beneath him is shifting. The colors around him seem to twist, bending in unnatural ways. The edges of the trees seem to blur and shift, their bark twisting like faces staring back at him. He blinks hard, trying to clear his vision, but it only gets worse. His hands shake as he wipes his forehead, and the others notice his panic. "What's wrong with him?" one asks. But none of them have an answer. "I don't know, it's just, everything's changing," he says, his voice shaking, his eyes wide with fear. "I feel like something's not right." He stumbles again, and this time he collapses, dropping to his knees. The others rush to him, but when they try to help, he pushes them away, his face pale, his breath coming in shallow gasps. "This isn't just fatigue," he whispers, his voice hoarse. "It's not normal." But it's not just him. The whispers in the wind grow louder, more persistent. The leaves rustle, but the sound is wrong. Faster, more frantic, as if the wind itself is alive. And then, just when they think it can't get worse, they hear it. Faint at first, but unmistakable, a soft, distant melody, like an old lullaby carried on the breeze. It's eerie, haunting, as if it doesn't belong in this place, like a ghost from another time has come to find them. The temperature drops sharply, too fast to be natural. The air, which had been warm earlier, now feels like ice, biting through their jackets and leaving them shivering. It's as if the forest itself is changing, turning on them. "We need to get out of here," one of them says, his voice tight with fear. But they don't know where to go. The path ahead is unclear, swallowed by shadows. They have no map, no signal on their phones. They're alone in this vast wilderness, with nothing but the forest and the whispers. And then, in the chaos, one of them vanishes. Just like that. One moment they're there, standing beside them, trying to help the sick hiker. The next they're gone. No trace. No sound. Not even a footprint. It's as though the forest has swallowed them whole. They call out, but their voice is lost in the thick air, swallowed by the growing terror that now surrounds them. The last hiker, alone and terrified, stands in the middle of the trail. His heart races, his body trembling. He looks around, his breath coming in short gasps. There's no escape. The path behind him is gone. The way forward is shrouded in darkness. His phone is dead, his signal gone. No connection to the world outside. No way to call for help. The only sound he hears now is his own breath, sharp and fast, as he stares into the thickening darkness around him. And then it happens. The whispers return. Soft at first, then louder. The voice is no longer distant, no longer carried on the wind. It's close, surrounding him, seeping into his mind. The sound of his name, whispered from all directions, from the shadows around him. He tries to run, but the air feels thick, heavy. His legs won't move fast enough. The whispers grow louder, their urgency rising, and then, complete silence. Everything stops. The forest holds its breath. And in that stillness, he knows whatever was watching them, whatever had been waiting, is no longer hiding. It's here with him now, and there is no way out. Days pass before the authorities arrive in the area, the forest now eerily silent, with no trace of the hikers except the broken trail they left behind. Their disappearance is baffling, leaving little to no clues, but something in the air seems different. The forest feels still, as though waiting for something. The search for the missing hikers intensifies, drawing in local law enforcement, volunteers, and even experienced trackers familiar with the wilds of the Appalachian Mountains. Despite their best efforts, there's no sign of the hikers, until finally, days later, a discovery is made. In a remote part of the forest, deep in the restricted area, their bodies are found, frozen in place as though they had never moved. The scene is haunting. The hikers are scattered in an unnatural formation, the bodies still but rigid, expressions of absolute horror carved into their faces. Their wide eyes stare out from pale faces, locked in a permanent, chilling gaze. But it's not just their faces that stand out, it's their positions. One of them lies with their hands raised, as though trying to shield themselves from something unseen, something terrifying just beyond their reach. The way they are positioned suggests they were fully aware of an impending threat. But what could it have been? The other hikers are arranged in similarly odd stances, as though trying to run, but frozen in time, forever caught in the terror of that last moment. The authorities begin their investigation, but the cause of death remains inconclusive. There are no obvious signs of violence, no physical injuries or struggle. Their bodies are intact, save for the terror on their faces. No blood, no wounds, just that expression, pure, unfiltered fear. The medical examiners can find no explanation for it, their perplexed reports leaving more questions than answers. How could 3 people, without a trace of physical harm, end up dead in such a horrifying way? The results leave the authorities baffled, unable to offer any real conclusions. They simply have no answers. As the investigation continues, one thing becomes clear. There's something more to this than just a tragic accident. Something far darker is at play here, something that goes beyond the reach of science and reason. The local folklore, often dismissed as myth and superstition, begins to resurface. The elders speak in hushed tones of the Watcher, an ancient malevolent spirit that haunts the Appalachian Mountains. This entity, they say, feeds on fear, growing stronger with each passing moment as it drives its victims toward madness. Once it has consumed their fear, it claims their souls, trapping them in the forest forever. The connection to the Watcher seems to grow clearer with each passing moment, as the hikers' deaths are found to match the descriptions of earlier disappearances. The same odd circumstances, the same signs. Strange symbols carved into trees and stones in the forest, markings that seem to be part of an ancient ritual, an offering to something darker. These symbols appear at the sites of other disappearances, their presence marking the spots where people were lost forever. And this isn't the first time it's happened. Over the years, countless others have gone missing in this very area, their bodies never found, or in some cases, their remains discovered in similarly unnatural positions, frozen in fear as if they were trying to escape an invisible force. The connection is undeniable, even though the police refuse to acknowledge it. They push back against the idea that anything supernatural is at play. Their official reports continue to downplay the events, chalking it all up to misfortune, bad luck, or random occurrences. But deep down, there's something unsettling about the whole case. The people who live in these mountains know the truth, and whispers of an ancient underground cult in the region begin to spread. Rumors of a long-forgotten ritualistic group, once active in the area, surface again. The cult, it's said, still exists in the shadows of the mountains, its rituals continuing in secrecy, tied to the very land that now claims the hikers' lives. The Watcher, some say, is the result of their dark practices, a spirit conjured by ancient rites, bound to the land, feeding on the fear of those who dare to walk its cursed paths. The police, however, dismissed these theories as the ramblings of superstitious locals. But as the bodies are recovered and the strange symbols and rituals come to light, the story begins to take on a new weight. Could there be truth to the stories? Could the Watcher be real? Suspicion grows, and the forest, once just a quiet, beautiful place, now holds a darker meaning. And as the investigation draws to a close, one thing becomes clear: the mountains aren't just haunted by the past. They are alive, waiting, ready to claim more victims. And the Watcher, it seems, is always watching. As the search for answers continues, an unsettling discovery is made. A chilling piece of evidence that casts the entire investigation in a new, terrifying light. It turns out these hikers weren't the first to wander down the cursed path. There have been others before them, many others. And now, evidence has emerged. Footage from hikers who went missing years ago, shot on their phones before they vanished without a trace. The footage, once thought to be lost, has surfaced through a local news outlet that uncovered a strange anomaly. The hikers in these old clips are seen trekking the same trail, laughing, talking, and enjoying the beauty of the mountains, much like the hikers who vanished. But as the footage continues, something changes. The screen begins to flicker, the colors distorting, as shadows move unnaturally across the trees in the background. At first, it seems like a glitch, just the poor quality of old footage. But as the camera focuses on the hikers, something much darker becomes clear. Behind them, barely visible but impossible to ignore, are shadows that move too quickly to be natural. A figure, tall and indistinct, appears on the edge of the frame, always just out of reach, never fully there but always watching. The figure never approaches, it just hovers, lingering. Each time the camera catches a glimpse, it vanishes as if it's aware of the recording. But that's not all. The most disturbing part of the footage is what's heard in the background, the whispers. The same whispers that echoed through the trees when the hikers first began their journey, the same whispers that led them deeper into the woods. The whispers, too faint to understand, grow louder, more desperate, like a voice trying to get through, trying to warn them. And just like that, the footage ends. The screen goes black and the hikers are gone. No sign of them. No clue as to what happened. The authorities are left with more questions than answers. Was it the curse of the Appalachian Mountains that claimed these souls? Was it the work of something ancient, something tied to the very earth itself? Or was it something far more terrifying, something darker, hidden just beneath the surface of the forest, waiting to consume anyone who dares to wander too far? The footage is replayed again and again, but each time, it only deepens the mystery. What is out there? What is waiting? The hikers' deaths remain unexplained, and the truth seems more elusive than ever. And as new theories emerge, one thing becomes clear: the mountain still holds its secrets, and it will take more than just answers to reveal them. The darkness remains, just out of sight, always watching. The truth behind these deaths may never be fully known, but one thing is certain: the mountains hold secrets, secrets that are far too terrifying to reveal. These hikers didn't just vanish, something made them disappear. Something is still out there, hiding in the shadows, waiting for the next unsuspecting traveler. The question is, what is it? Was this an ancient curse tied to the land, something older than anyone could imagine? Or was it something far worse, something even darker than the legends tell? What do you think? Could this be the work of something otherworldly, or is there a more terrifying explanation lurking in the unseen corners of the forest? Let us know your theories in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling stories that might just make you think twice before stepping into the unknown. The mountains are waiting. Are you brave enough to uncover the truth? Stay tuned. The darkness never truly leaves.